Hello and welcome back to the Seven Figure Standard podcast. I'm Mykie Stiller, joined by my co-host Arash Vossoughii, and we are so excited to be back with you for another episode. I want to ask you a question today. When is the last time you told yourself you were going to wait until you felt ready to do something? Until you had more time or a better time, until you felt more prepared, until things calmed down? Arash is going to break down why that is such an expensive sentence that you're going to wait until you're ready, why it is a lie you're telling yourself, and why readiness is not a destination you arrive at or a launching off point. All right, Arash, let's jump right in. Why is this sentence so expensive? I'll wait until I'm ready.
Because all you're doing is lying to yourself. Because you're never going to be ready for a thing until you do it. Think of how many opportunities so far this year people have wasted saying, I'm not ready yet. Well, how do you know? And this is where we're assigning a level of difficulty before we get started for most people. And so the price is enormous. The price is invisible. You're paying years of compounding, and people who did that this year, they've done it last year, the year before, the year before. So the question is, when are you going to be ready? You're never going to be ready until you go do a thing. And I always go back, and I've said this on many occasions on our podcast, that one of the two habits that changed my life was behaving before I was ready, like right away. Before I was waiting to be ready. Mm-hmm. I was a perfectionist. But I want you to audit this year, everyone to audit this year. How many times did you say that? And then where would you be if that thought never came in your mind? You're like, I'm just going to take shots. You know, I love the quote, both Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky have it. They said, I couldn't make any shots I didn't take. Well, every time we're saying, I'm waiting to feel ready, I'm not ready yet, you're not taking the shot. So the cost of waiting is your life, you're not living it, you're reacting to it. Mm-hmm. And so the bank account that isn't there, it's because you keep telling yourself, I'm not ready.
You know, I think that sometimes we lie to ourselves too by continuing preparation instead of actually doing the thing. This is a really bad metaphor, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So like a year and a half ago, I was with my kids at this giant slide place, and there's all these huge slides. It's called Slick City if you've ever been there. There's one shaped as a U. And I was like, oh, that looks fun. My kids wanted me to go down some slides. So I'm like, I'm going to go on that one. I get up there and I get to the top and I look down. It's like straight down. I was like, never mind. And I like look behind me and there's like a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old behind me, like waiting in line. I was like, well, that's horrifying. So I went anyways because I was so embarrassed to walk back down the stairs. But how many times are we like saying, I'm going to do the thing, right? And we get right up to it and then we think, no, I'm not ready yet. Instead of just jumping, just do it. Jeez.
Yeah, you have to, like, there's an acronym I give clients, and it's JFDI. Okay?
Sure, no one's heard it.
Yeah, it's just effing do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. But here's what we've got a brain tattoo. Permission is never coming.
Yeah.
No one's going to give us permission. So even when you think you're going to be ready, you're still not going to be ready. Mm-hmm. So Emerson says, do the thing will give you power. He doesn't say, keep waiting for the thing will give you power. So our brains, the way our brain works, its job is to protect us. So it wants us to be comfortable. But what is it costing us being comfortable? That's what people are saying, I'm not ready yet. They're saying, I'm more committed to comfort than I am to creating the life I want.
I'm glad that you brought up permission because I think that goes right with identity and thinking that someone else is going to give us permission, someone else is going to tell us when we're ready, when that feeling is just not coming.
Well, this is the survival identity at the highest level. The survival identity, stay safe. Get to the known. You know what it is. Imagine using your example of the slide. You know, I was at the Bahamas for our kids' spring break, and we went down one of those slides. Yeah. And I told the kids, I'm going to be the first to do it, because if I do it, you guys will do it, you know? And okay, I have experience. I'm an adult, so I've done that before, so not a big deal. But for them to do it, it was a massive deal, right? But we have to train ourselves to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And now it's more uncomfortable when I'm too long in my comfort zone. But your brain is what is screwing with you. But it's doing its job. Its job is to keep you comfortable. Like, understand this. Your programming, your current programming does not want you to achieve your goals. Your paradigm does not want you to achieve your goals. It wants you to stay comfortable. Mm-hmm. and it's winning. So every time you give in when you're saying, I'm not ready yet, when are you going to be ready? The first thing I do with clients is decide before evidence. And they have to follow it up with an action. So what does I'm not ready really mean? You just gave so much power to your doubt. So what does that mean? You've got to move when the idea is hot. When the idea is hot, you got to act right away. So you don't even give yourself a second. You're just like, nope, I'm doing it and I'm going to do it now. And when you brain tattoo doing it now, it'll change the game. But readiness will change your life. When you start understanding you're never going to be ready until you do a thing. Now you're going to leverage readiness. I'm always ready.
You've been around people, we've all been around people who are talking about doing the same things year after year after year, maybe 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. They're thinking, oh, this year I'm going to get in shape. Oh, this year I'm going to build the business. And we all know these people. Maybe some of us are these people, right? Somebody listening. You've said that people who wait, that person, they almost never take the leap because they're waiting on a feeling that is just not coming. Why does it only come after you do it?
Well, everything follows action. Readiness is a byproduct of action. But how do you take action? You do it right away. You don't even give yourself a second. You don't get ready and leap. You leap and then you're ready. It's not aim, fire, shoot. It's shoot, fire, aim. Mm-hmm. You adjust all the way towards whatever it is. That's why if you look at a plane going to a destination, it's failing itself the whole way there. Yet humans they think success is a linear line up. It's not. It's a zigzag. You go up, down, backwards, forward, sideways. But they have this false impression because it's comfortable. We're addicted to comfort. And that's why I want you to brain tattoo Emerson. Do the thing will give you power. Do the thing will give you power. You're never going to think your way into it. You have to act your way into it.
So you have this program or your brain telling you, stay safe. Don't do it. It's not safe. I want to protect you. Don't do it. And then you have your goal, your want, saying, this is what you want. Don't you want this? So you're saying you just have to choose the want. Jump after the want.
Not even jump, like sprint.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing it when the fire is hot. I remember I was so not ready for this. And I just started working with my mentor. And he said, I want you to come to Toronto. I always say it was a flight that changed my life. So many transformations happened in this 24, 36 hour span. And I have no money at the time. And I go, when do you want me to come? He says, tomorrow. And I remember this idea came to me. You said you're going to do exactly what he told you. That's why I did it. So I leveraged another $2,000 on a credit card. Those are I had nothing left on my credit limit. And I'm sitting on the tarmac and I'm like, what are you doing? You're so reckless. And I wanted to run off the plane. Yeah. So I felt so much pressure because that's where my identity was at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like a 5-hour flight. It was the worst flight because I just kept going, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Anyway, I got there. His grandson, Danny, picks me up, takes me to his house. And he goes, oh, you came. I go, what do you mean? And he said, I said, was this a test? He goes, I wanted to see how committed you were. But he said, I'm going to make it worthwhile. Then we went to dinner for 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something around there. Like I knew I was going to win. I wouldn't have, if I didn't come, I don't think him and I would have had the relationship and I would not be here today. But I had to act before I was ready. Well, once I did it that one time, I just started doing it. Those first 30 days, everything I was doing, it was before I was ready. Yeah. And it changed the game.
And then that becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit, but it became a belief for me.
Okay.
Why? Because I did it and it created a visceral experience.
So is I'm not ready a belief problem or an identity problem or something else entirely?
Identity problem.
Identity.
It's a subconscious picture that I have to be perfect before I'm going to do it. So that's why there's a huge gap in readiness between knowing and doing. People love the knowing, like I'm going to keep preparing myself, but they never step out and act. We got to remind ourselves, and I say it on almost every podcast, we're rewarded by the actions we take. And so we've got to act before we're ready. If somebody wants to change their identity today, I'll show them how to do it. Start behaving before you're ready. You're going to have a visceral experience. You're going to change your identity. You're going to literally transform your identity today. That's like whenever some of our coaches will bring clients who just sign up for one of our programs. And the first thing I tell them when I get on the call to welcome them is you don't understand how much you transformed your identity today because you made a decision that was not in your comfort zone. And you're always rewarded by those decisions.
I wanted to share one quick thing and then we'll get right back to the show. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've probably realized that the conversations that we have here are different from most of the content online. We're not focused on quick tactics or surface level motivation. The work that we do at Voss Coaching Co. is centered on identity, thinking, and processes that actually create lasting results. That is one of the things we are so passionate about, and one of the reasons we started this podcast and Voss Coaching Co. to begin with. Many of the people who work closely with us first discovered us through this podcast. They listened for months, sometimes years, and eventually reached a point where they realized they didn't just want more information, they wanted direction and proximity. If that resonates with you, I would love to invite you and encourage you to reach out to our team. Send us an email to hello@vosscoachingco.com. Introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about what you're doing, what your goals are, what you're working towards, and our team will personally review your message and connect with you to see if there's an opportunity for us to help. Again, that email is hello@vosscoachingco.com. All right, now right back to the episode. So is I'm not ready a fear? Is it driven by fear?
It's driven by an old program. And then the old program could be fearful. So the people who have that, yes, it's fear driven, but it's the program. We got to change the program. How do you change a program? You act your out. The fastest way to change a program is act out of your comfort zone. So the faster we act, the faster we're going to change it. Okay.
Let's say it's not fear. What else could it be?
Fear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it is fear. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's fear driving the decision. Like, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
There's no guarantees.
Uncertainty.
Yeah. Uncertainty. But certainty is so sexy. Like certainty is one of the best behaviors we can have where you walk in a room and your vibration changes the whole room and you don't even say a word. Certainty, the people who are winning are certain. The people you admire are certain because it is such a sexy energy.
So this goes back to what we talked about last episode about the essential and the incidental. And people who are saying they're not ready are giving certainty to the incidental.
That's exactly right.
Instead of claiming certainty for
They're
themselves.
more loyal to the seen than the unseen, but the unseen is where all the magic is.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, what framework do you use with clients or with our community who want to make a bold move, but they don't feel ready?
Take the first action right away. So I tell them, give me a date, text me, take that first action right away. That's number one. And then I want a commitment. So I want them to give me a commitment in writing. And then I want them to tell somebody that supports them what the commitment is. Now it puts you on the hook. But if I could get them to take the first action, it's going to change the game.
I'm going to change the word on you here and see if it makes a difference. Do you still encourage that when someone feels they're not equipped? And is that the same as not feeling ready?
Well, we're never going to be equipped until we do a thing. So when we say we're not equipped, now we're talking about capability. It's never a capability problem because God has given us so many tools to win. So it's a confidence problem and it's a comfort problem. Mm-hmm. But how do we ever get equipped? Through experience. The greatest learning comes through action. So the next time you do it, you get better. That's why I'm always telling our clients, you've got to embrace the suck. The first time you do it, it's going to suck a little, but you're always rewarded because the universe always rewards a committed decision.
Yeah. You shared that great story about the plane and the flight that changed your life. Do you have any other stories about where you took a big leap before you were ready, or maybe a client?
Jumping out of an airplane was a big leap.
Yeah.
When I jumped out of the airplane, I remember I was just out of high school, like senior year, like right after. We went up in a plane and I remember I was like, well, the door opened. You have no other choice. And it was JFDI.
Wait, I went skydiving and the guy in front of me changed his mind. And he was like, never mind. And they're like, you have to go. You can't go back down on the plane. You have to jump. So the person, I don't even know what they call it, the person I was back, the instructor, is pushing him out the door, has to go. And I was like, I guess I'm next. I guess I'll just jump.
I was telling this story at our last seminar. We were at, I believe it was Disneyland.
Yeah.
And my daughter's super young. And my wife and I taught both of our kids, like, if you have fear, you got to do the thing right away. Anyway, she's like crying. And the person who works there is like, okay, honey, are you okay? I'm like, she's fine. And I'm like, Maya, stop. And everyone's judging us, right? Anyway, we finally go down. Soon as she goes down, she goes, let's do it again.
Yeah.
And how many times once you do a thing, like you could be Maya, how many times do you do a thing, you're like, oh my God, it wasn't that bad. It was actually great for me.
Yeah, let's do it again.
That's exactly right. So you've got to understand, I have so many things. I remember my first event.
Mm-hmm.
This was so long ago, many years ago. I did an event at a public library and 3 people showed up. And at that time I was charging $100 an hour. I got $300. I thought like, that's pretty good. But I was kind of disappointed only 3 people showed up, but I played full out, so it was like, was I ready? No. Was I terrified? Yes. Did I deliver? Like there were 200 people? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But you have to do that. Why? Because the standard wasn't based on the audience. I did it like there was a full room and there was only 3 people that showed up.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand everything came after that. Now we've written 2 books. We have an 8-figure coaching business. We've transformed thousands of people's lives. Imagine what wouldn't have been possible if I waited to be ready.
Yeah. I mean, another big leap, starting our company.
Walked away from multiple 7 figures. Mm-hmm. Like I remember it. And, like all I had to do is get you in the spirit of it. Once we got in the spirit, that was it. It was like takeoff.
Yeah. And all of these are stories. None of them are like, you know what, I took the leap and I regret it.
There's not one leap that I took that I've regretted.
Yeah.
Like nothing comes to mind. Does anything come to mind for you?
No, I was trying to think of, there's never been a time where I've been like, I'm just going to do it. And then I'm like, that was a bad idea.
When you bet on yourself, your life gets so magical.
Yeah.
But until you bet on yourself, you're always waiting to be ready.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. All right. Final thoughts on this topic.
Look, I've talked about it so many times in so many different ways, but 2 habits will change your life significantly. It's behaving before you're ready. Like that's got to be a brain tattoo. I'm going to start doing it no matter what. Forget about the outcome. It's not about the outcome. It's about the willingness. Mm-hmm. And the second one is when you're behaving before you're ready, do it right away. Don't give yourself a week. Don't give yourself a day. Do it right away. Make that hard phone call. Create the website that you want your business to be.
Yep.
Put yourself accountable to people close to you that will hold you accountable. Like do anything that puts you on the hook. It is going to be so good for you.
I could not agree more. Arash, thank you so much. And thanks to all of you. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and leave us a rating and review. And if you're listening to this episode thinking, I've been wanting to get mentorship for a long time and maybe now I'm ready to take the leap and do it, go ahead and send me an email, hello@vosscoachingco.com. I would love to talk to you. All right. We'll see you next week with another episode of the 7-Figure Standard podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 7-Figure Standard. We hope you found the insights and strategies helpful on your journey to success. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help us reach more people like you. To learn more about Arash and Mykie and how Voss Coaching Co. can help you achieve your goals and reach new levels of success, visit vosscoachingco.com. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of 7-Figure Standard.